This is the Performing Songwriter, and my name is Ray Naylor. Today I'm taking somewhat of a detour from my usual show format by interviewing two people who are in the songwriting business. My first guest is Bonnie Warren. Bonnie is a Philadelphia native who spends a lot of time in Nashville plugging her songs. In 2017, Bonnie was Grand Prize winner in the Pensacola Beach Songwriters Festival contest, and in 2016 was a nominee for the Female Songwriter of the Year in the Tennessee Songwriters Association International, as well as first place winner in the Dallas Songwriters Association. Bonnie has also had publishing contracts with Rex Benson, publisher of artists including Kenny Rogers and Luther Vandross. My second guest is Louis Vasseur from Chicago. He is head of the Vasseur Group, a sports and entertainment consulting company. A piece of what Louis does is licensing songs for films and TV, and I'll be talking to Louis about that later in the show. But first, Bonnie Warren.
Hi.
Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you for inviting me.
Now, in addition to what I've already said about you, you've also, in the past, maybe currently, have been involved with a bunch of other stuff, which I do also want to mention. Let's see here, you managed a band, you booked a venue, you're a writer of an arts magazine, you ran a nonprofit music organization, and a few more things. Are you pretty much concentrating on your songwriting now?
I am. It's my very favorite thing to do. Although I was also, there was a music festival in Ambler this past spring, and I was invited to be on a panel, and I participated in a round, and I enjoyed that too. But songwriting is my real love.
And how did you get into songwriting, and when you decided that you were really going to try to make a business of it, shall we say?
Oh, that's quite a story. I was always musical. I had the lead in plays as a young kid, and I had a band in college, but it was a cover band. And of course, my parents wanted me to go into music.
Wow.
So I said, no, I don't want to go into music. Duh. So I did some solo restaurant work, being the singer-guitarist, after college, but then I dropped it and I worked. Then I went back to school and I got a second degree and I worked. I went major corporate, short hair, suit every day, briefcase. Then I had 3 little kids, and to make a long story really much shorter, I'm an only child, and my dad had died when I was in my 20s, and my mom and I were very close, and she passed away when I was in my 30s, and she had wanted me to get back into music. But with 3 little kids, I said, I don't even have enough hands to hold their hands. I can't manage holding an instrument. So the night, you're going to think I'm weird now, the night she died, out of nowhere, I was getting lyrics, music in my sleep, and I would wake up, and I would have to sing them into a tape recorder just to get some peace. And I really thought I was clocking out here. But I went to see a therapist. This is probably way more than you wanted to know, but I promise it's going to end, and it's really interesting. I went to see a therapist who said, you need time to grieve. And I said, no kidding. I have a 4-year-old, a 3-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a mother whose estate I'm trying to settle from thousands of miles away and clean out her apartment. So the next week, I went to a music studio instead. I took the therapy money, and I went to see Anthony Newitt. And my musicianship skills were weak at that point, so I would sing to him what I was hearing in my head, but I knew enough where he would play it, I would say, oh no, augment that, or oh no, change that to a minor, or whatever. And I walked out with music, and I just kept doing that week after week after week after week, and it was extremely therapeutic. And then I took my business skill background and applied it to really learning the business, the craft, what to do, the strategies, and it's really an addiction for me. I go through withdrawal when I don't write or do something music business-ish.
We're going to play a song that you recorded a little earlier, and when we come back, I want you to talk a little bit about what you've been doing with that particular song.
Okay.
So just give us a title, because I know you introduced it.
It's called Engine. This song is called Engine. I wrote it with a friend of mine in Nashville. Her name is Charlotte Sands. Suitcase at the bottom of the stairs. You're looking at me like I should care. Baby, this happens all the time, and I'm just getting too tired of fighting. Hate to tell you, but I'm one step ahead. Got my bags packed underneath the bed. I ain't taking the blame no more. When you blink, I'll be out the back door. Got my keys in the ignition. Tell you what I'm thinking. You stay here, I'll go missing. Baby, can you hear that humming? My engine ain't the only thing running. Ain't the only thing running. Foot to the floor and mud in the air. Finally, I'm getting out of here. Looking up in my rear view, and that frame's how I'll remember you. Got my keys in the ignition. Tell you what I'm thinking. You stay here, I'll go missing. Baby, can you hear that humming? My engine ain't the only thing running. One day you'll be looking back, wishing you held on to what you had, but that day is past. So I got my key in the ignition. Tell you what I'm thinking. You stay here, I'll go missing. Baby, can you hear that humming? My engine. Got my key in the ignition. Tell you what I'm thinking. You stay here, I'll go missing. Baby, can you hear that humming? My engine ain't the only thing running. Ain't the only thing running.
Okay, so that song was called Engine. And so what have you done with that song? Just give us an idea what someone like yourself, you go to Nashville a lot, as I mentioned, how would you promote that song?
Well, I go to Nashville about once a month for 7 to 10 days. And I have goals for every visit. I make sure I do writing, or co-writing as the case may be. Co-writing, some recording, some pitching. I attend at least one show. Usually there's workshops going on, so I attend at least one educational kind of an event, and I make at least one new friend. So I have 6 goals for every trip that I make. And I usually fulfill them on steroids. So a song like this, I have pitched at many different events. In Nashville, there's pitching going on all the time. Sometimes you pitch at just an incidental meeting. You know, you bump into somebody who you know is a publisher or looking for music. You have a little chat. They tell you what they're looking for, whatever. Oh, would you? You know, I have something. May I send that to you? There's also formal pitch meetings set up. There's formal pitch websites. One pitch that I participate in a lot is called the Lucky 13 Speed Pitch, run by Steve Block. And Steve is a plugger and has been for a long time, and he developed this business where he has six publishers and 6 writers, and this is by audition, and there is a fee for it. And what you get is 13 minutes. It's like speed dating.
I was going to say, that's like speed dating.
13 minutes with each publisher, and it just rotates through. You're in a room, publisher 1 comes in, you can talk, play, music, whatever, develop a relationship. 13 minutes later, he leaves, the next one comes in. And I have gotten invited in on some projects through that. And you can decide what you want to do with that 13 minutes. You can, if you know they're into golf and you're into golf, you can just talk about golf and build a relationship. Or you can play them a bunch of songs so that they see your writing caliber, and maybe they'll let you know there's a song, there's a kind of music they're looking for. Right, you might have that, and they're like, oh, I'm going to take a copy of that. And then you get an open door a little bit more, so, and a relationship starts. Nashville is all about relationships.
Okay. Now we're going to, in a few minutes here, we're going to listen to the interview I did with Louis Vasseur, who, and as I mentioned earlier, one of the things that he does is licensing for films and TV.
You'll have to introduce me.
Well, I think this show you are being introduced to him
Oh,
because
good.
he'll be white. Louis, how you doing?
Oh, hi. Nice to meet you.
Okay, we're going to watch this interview right now, and then we're going to come back and talk a little more and hear another one of your songs.
Okay.
Before I run that, I'm going to play part of the video for our next guest, whose name is Billy Penberger. Make sure I got Billy's name right. Billy Penberger. This particular song he was recorded at the Flash in Kennett Square with his whole band, as a matter of fact. And this song is called Too Fast, and this will be, Billy will be our guest in about a week or so. Then we'll be back with him. Then we're coming back after Louis, me and Louis talk, and we're going to hear one of your songs and talk a little bit more.
Great.
Okay.
Oh, you really pack these shows full.
I do.
This song comes to you directly from the psychiatric couch.
What's it called?
It's called Too Fast. Wake me up in the back seat of a bad dream with the engine running, two blind eyes and headlights down the on-ramp, my motor pumping, a sweaty reach to the wheel, white knuckles I barely feel. I don't know if this is real, but it's too fast. Oh my God, too fast. Take me out to the ball game, a summer fun night, with a full moon shining. Wake me up, I'm at home plate with a bright light and a fastball coming. Sweaty grip on the heel.
I'd like to introduce my second guest today. This is Louis Vasseur. Louis, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I wanted to start off by maybe you talking a little bit about your background in terms of the music piece, and just so we have a sense of how that all kind of fits together.
Okay, great. Well, I'm a principal in my own consulting practice called the Vasseur Group. We're a sports marketing and entertainment company. And what we do for clients, depending on the client and depending on the project, it could be anywhere from producing, promoting shows, radio promotion, artist management, and what we're going to be talking about today is music licensing and publishing.
Okay. Now, I have a couple CDs, and on both of those, I have a couple songs that I didn't write. And in order to get permission to include those, I went through Harry Fox Agency. But in terms of the licensing of like TV and films, it's a whole different thing. What is the difference, and why couldn't I go through Harry Fox to do that?
Well, like you said, it's really apples and oranges. But basically, what music licensing is the owner of a song is granting permission to another entity to use all or part of that song in either a TV, a movie, a commercial, or some other advertisement, or any type of media where video is hooked up with audio. So as the owner of your song, well, the songs that you write, as soon as you write a song, and put it into your phone or write it down on paper, as somebody like you and I used to do before the smartphones came by. And as soon as you record it, it is a product, and it has value, and it is your product. So you own that product. And there are two different licenses that are looked at. One is the writer's share. As a songwriter, you have a share of that song. And then there's also the publishing share. And typically when you some of the older record deals, the record deals would own would require being owned the publishing share as part of their compensation package. But so there's two different entities there that when you're entering into a licensing agreement, that you have to make sure that you have clearance and the ownership of that property. So if you're going to license a song for a movie, one of the questions they're going to say is this song cleared? And what that means is do you own 100% of the rights to that song, both from a songwriter standpoint and a publishing standpoint? And do you have the authority to sell or rent the use of that song to that movie or TV show or whatever? So.
Now, if I'm, say, a film producer and I'm looking for a song for the movie, what do I do to find that?
Well, each project is going to be a little bit different because the production team is going to be different. The music usually falls under the purview of the music supervisor of a production house or the production company that's doing that project. And that music supervisor works with the producer and the director to get what type of feel do you want for this music? What is the intent of the music? Is it to support the action? Is there a chase scene, so you want to add some excitement by having some rock and roll or exciting music in there? Or is it a more intimate scene where a couple is discussing their relationship and possibly breaking up? So the music tends to be a little bit more intimate and nuanced. So getting that direction, they go through their music library, and any music supervisor is going to have a music library that they work off of that's got several thousands or tens of thousands of songs, and they generally work with some interns or some assistants to help them find it, and they'll come up with a handful of songs that kind of fit the initial direction, put it in as a placeholder in the filming during the editing process, and then once it's been approved by the production company, then they look out and negotiate a deal with the owner of the property. So some of the things that they're doing in the back of their head when they're putting that short list together is that how fast can I clear this music? And can I clear this music? And two, will it fit into the budget that the producer is telling me that I have? So if I have a major movie and I only have a music budget that's for $5,000, I'm not going to be able to land a Rolling Stones song or a Beatles song, even if it was available. So there's been a push recently to go to indie artists because it's less expensive. And there's also the cool factor. A lot of advertising agencies and movies and TVs take pride in breaking a new artist. They want to be seen as hip, so they'll bring in a Ingrid Michaelson, Sarah Bareilles, any fill in the blank on the indie artists, or Ray Naylor for bring it, and because there's a certain cachet that they can use in the marketing of that project, and in particularly with advertising, they like to be associated with somebody who is hip and cool and fits with their brand. So if you're known as an artist that likes to ride this certain type of bicycle on your own time, there's a good chance that they're going to reach out and say, hey, why don't you do a commercial for it? Or let us use your song for this cool truck bicycle or the Prius because we know you drive it. And so we know you like the product. Your fans know you like the product, so there's a connection already. But in terms of the movie, the first thing is the music has to support the overall storyline and not compete with it. So it's important to have instrumental copies of your tracks as well as the vocals, because you don't want the vocals competing. Or it could be a background piece, and that intimate conversation between the two people is happening in the bar, and there's a band playing in the background. That music is also licensed. So it would be just like you would be in a regular music venue. So the band is playing. It could be playing their own track. They could be playing a cover song, whatever. But that music is licensed. But the intention there is to set the mood or set the scene as being in a music venue. Or it could be you could be commissioned to write a theme for a movie, and so that theme happens throughout the show to reinforce certain. Yeah. Sorry about that. So the music helps reinforce certain storyline themes, either the romance or the couple. There's a couple TV shows where whenever the certain character comes on, her theme is on. And so unconsciously the viewer reacts to that. So, okay, I know this is going to happen because this music is coming in, type of thing. So
Now there are things called licensing houses,
right.
and
Right.
they're like they work with a whole bunch of people. Is that kind of how that works?
Yeah, there are several ways of licensing your music. As an indie artist, you could do it yourself and develop relationships with music libraries or licensing houses, various production companies, getting to know music supervisors themselves, or you can go to a licensing house, say like Music Dealers or Music X-Ray or Music Supervision. You can Google and comes up with 15 million of them. But
Now yourself, I'm sorry,
Go ahead.
you do it. You're not necessarily a licensing house, I guess. You're
No,
you're
I
your
work-
own thing, right?
Actually, my strategy for licensing, again, varies with the client I'm working with and what they ultimately want to do. For most of my clients, licensing is just one of the multiple streams of income that we're looking at to build a career. I have had some clients where their goal was, I don't want to have to play out anymore. I want to start a family. I want to sit at home and write music, and then licensing it and go to the mailbox, pick up a check once a month. So the strategy is a little bit different there. So I will go I'll sit down with my artists, figure out what they want to do as an overall career goal. And then what music do we have in our library that is licensable? And all music can be licensed, but what would fit with what's popular now? And what do you want to do? What do you want to be associated with? Is there a certain TV show that you really like? Do you like Gilmore Girls? And so is that the type of music that you want to produce? And then I'll reach out to that music supervisor, develop a relationship, and say I have an artist there. With other artists, they're not that specific, or their catalog isn't large enough yet. So I'll work with music libraries and licensing houses to leverage on their existing relationships. Because it's a relationship business. Like everything else in the entertainment industry, it's who you know and the relationship that you built with them. And there's a validity there too, because if you put yourself into the music supervisor's chair and they're doing a TV show, their schedule is extremely hectic. On Monday, you're doing the initial run through of your show, the read through, and some initial direction. Tuesday, Wednesday, you're shooting. Thursday, you're starting to drop into music. Friday, Saturday, you have to have it done. And then Monday, it goes to whatever TV channel is doing it. So you got to move very quickly. You've got to have sources of material that you can rely on and not have to spend a lot of time clearing. So those relationships are real important. So if I've worked with Louis in the past and that has worked out, and Louis knows what I'm looking for, so he, anything he submits, one is going to be good production quality. Number two, it's cleared. I know I can clear it. He's got all the documentation, the work for hires, the split letters, all that type. So I can, turn that thing around and meet my schedule. With a movie, post-production is usually 6 to 9 months afterwards. You've got a little bit more time to play. The budgets are a little bit better. But the other thing, too, is that developing those relationships with the music supervisors or production houses helps you stand out from the 300 other emails that each one of these people get a day. And a lot of artists don't realize that. I'll send my music to this ad agency and I never heard. And go, well, most of the music supervisors that I know get at least 300 emails of unsolicited music a day. And they try to listen to it as much as they can, but there's only 24 hours in a day. And so they'll listen to maybe 40, 50 tracks. Well, there's another 250 that are in their inbox. They'll pass them on to interns and that. And then they'll put them in their library for a future project. And they will look at a piece that fits what they need at that point in time, because that's, where their focus is. I'm working on Buffy the Vampire Killer, and I need to have this type of music and this type. It's got to fit, and I have to have it fast.
Well, I just want to get into people doing it themselves, and I found this article. It was the New York, L.A. Times, or some publication in L.A. a couple years ago, and they had interviewed. I'm gonna get her name right, Kathy Heller.
Okay.
And,
yeah.
You familiar with her?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to put the link to that below the video here. And it was interesting. What she does, she watches TV, and when she finds a show where the music is like what she does, she researches who the music supervisor is, then researches that person, and then reaches out and tries to, like you were saying, cultivate that relationship, and it may take a couple years.
Right.
Does that sound like a good idea in terms of a good way to approach it for somebody like an individual artist that I'm going to try to do this on my own?
I think it's a great idea, because what I do, that's how I approach it as well. And it brings up a couple of things. One is that this is not a get rich quick thing that, as some people promise in the seminars and on the internet, send me your music, send me $1,280, and then, you'll be getting checks in the mail next week. It doesn't happen that way. It's a relationship business. It takes time to develop that relationship. And like you said, it could take years to get to that music supervisor to the point where he or she is returning your emails, texts. And as long as you're professional about it, they expect you to follow up periodically, as long as you're not being a pest. But it can only take one bad incident to ruin that relationship that took you years to build. So if you pitch a song to them and they love it, and they take the risk and they drop it into a TV show, but you can't come up with clearance, you're never going to work for that person again. It's just, so the first thing you have to do is have your ducks in a row. You develop your music catalog, and you make sure you have all the paperwork. And that could be that guitar player that sat in the session and did a few bars on it. Well, you still have to have a work for hire from a clearance that they don't own it, because there's too many horror stories in the business where a song went all the way through, almost there have been times where they're into final production, printing, and found out they didn't have clearance, or somebody who was in the studio claims that they own part of the song, and because there's so much competition out there, if you don't have your ducks in a row, and if you're not treating this like a professional business, and by doing that, they can just go to the next person. I don't have time as a music supervisor or a producer to take those 2 days. I mean, sometimes the turnarounds are a matter of hours. I'll get an email and say, hey, I need something by, it's 5 o'clock, I need it by 7 o'clock. What do you have? They're not expecting you to go out and record something, but what do you have? But I got that phone call or the email because of the relationship that I already established. And it's just an ongoing thing. I have targets for, I have an artist that has this particular type of genre, this particular type of song. They like this show. I've reached out to the music supervisor, but I've also reached out to several libraries, and it's out there. The song is out there. And so when I do get that phone call or that email, we can pull the trigger very quickly and move and meet, because you're trying to service the music supervisors and make it. And sometimes things happen where it's totally accidental. There's enough stories on the internet about somebody was trolling through SoundCloud, and they came up with a song, and all of a sudden it's on Grey's Anatomy, and they got a check for $30,000. That happens. It's not the way. Most of it is. It's hard work and going in there. I did have a client, a young singer-songwriter, and I work with some people. We just put together teams where they have a stable of songwriters, and we put together a pool. We create our own mini library and pitch it to various licensing companies. And we had pitched several songs to this, and it was in their library. And he was talking to one of his friends. He used to work for Oprah Winfrey, so he's got some nice connections. He was talking to a production house for a major movie studio. And then the guy said, well, we're working on this movie. He said, hey, you got a song you might want to think about. It came in the back door. It didn't come in through the formal submission process. And there were 200 songs they started looking at. 2 weeks later, I get an email from them and say, hey, good news. XYZ movie company likes this song. And it's moved to the next, it's in the final 100. So it made the first cut. A week later, I get another email. It's made the next cut. And it keeps on moving. Short story, it ended up between the last two, my artist and a Grammy winner. And the production house actually liked my artist's song better, and it thought it fit the movie better. But then from a marketing standpoint, they're going, well, we have a Grammy winner. This song will work. We don't like it quite as much, but it'll work. And so the decision came down to unknown artist, great song we really like, versus Grammy winner, marketing cachet because of that, and a song that'll work. Unfortunately, we lost it. The story we took out of that is that, hey, we need to build up our name as an artist and as a brand to help support that. So when we get in that situation again, we can come back and say, well, all right, maybe you didn't hear about it, but she's placed music in boom, 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 in this indie film, and this thing. She was the #1 artist on Women of Substance Radio in LA. She's been, getting ready to play, creating that buzz, because the song helps support the project, and everybody needs to support the marketing to make the project make money. So we all make money because depending on the deal, you can get points from it. The better the movie does, the more money you get. Yeah.
Now, I know a guy who actually was a guest on my show some time back. His name is Tom Kimmel, and he's had several songs in movies. Now, in his case, he had relationships, and they contacted him and said, "We have this movie. Can you write a song about it?" And sometimes they had to write it in a few days. Him and he co-wrote a song, for example, that was in the movie Serendipity.
Okay.
And anyway, so he had the song, and then they had to produce it. Sean Colvin did that particular song that called.
Okay.
So is that a different kind of a thing? Where is it? It would seem, since the production of the song has to be done separately, it would seem like there would be a different deal.
Well, it's just kind of a variation of the same theme, where in that case they knew what that artist could do, and they said, "We want a song that sounds like that," and I know he can do this. And so you reach out and say, okay, I've got $2,000 in my budget. I need a song that sounds like this. I need it in 48 hours. Can you do it? And that's not unheard of. It happens. I had an artist who did the same thing. It was an indie film. They had no budget. She got a few dollars for it, but it was basically, we have a bicycle scene where our actors are going from point A to point B and riding bicycles. We need something underneath. So she wrote a 30-second or 45-second, underlay that, supported the emotion of that point. Did it in a couple of days, and it was nice credit. Not a lot of money, but you can leverage that into the next level and say, well, okay, I have, a song placed in an indie short movie. So it gives you a certain amount of credibility, and it's a process. You're not going to go and land a song in the next Star Wars or first time out of the bat. Or if you do, great, but it's not going to happen. It's just like any part of your career, you have to put the work in, build a foundation, build the relationships, and when the opportunity comes, you can react to it. And you've got you've been preparing for years to be that overnight success.
I think it was yesterday, on the Today Show, they were interviewing Quincy Jones, and he said something that kind of summarizes, I think, what we've been talking about, which is the only time that success success is before work is in the alphabet.
Right, right. Yeah, that's true. You have to put the work in for anything in life, but particularly in this business. There are so many talented artists out there. I work with a lot of them, and you've interviewed a lot of them, and there are some that that make it more than others. And when you dig down into it, you find out, okay, they did the work. They stayed at the show and talked to the booker, to the bartender, the bouncer, and thanked them for it. They talked to the other artists, and then all of a sudden you're getting opportunities because, hey, you were friendly to the artist, they liked your show, this person was good enough to work for it. I'm doing a 2-week tour, can you come out? And then that leads to the next step. The same way with licensing. Go to the taxi convention. Go to your pro, PRO, either ASCAP, BMI, or CSAC. They all have classes, they have seminars, they have conventions. Meet the music supervisors that are on the panels, and send them an email afterward. Hey, I really appreciate this. In Chicago, where I'm based, we have Fort Knox in 2112, which is a music artistic tech incubator, and there's talks every week, including a lot on licensing, because obviously it's a popular topic. And we bring in music supervisors and they talk about it, and you can sit there and pitch your music, and once a quarter they'll actually have a pitch session where you can do it. But you learn the business that way, and you learn the nuances, you learn the protocol. Don't go up to a music supervisor at the CD Baby conference in Nashville and hand them your CD and say, this is the best music, you have to use it, because it's going to end up in the trash. It's just not going to go. There's a protocol to it. The best way to say, hey, I really like your work. Research the person, so know what shows that they work with. I love the work that you did on Castle. That music was pretty cool. I would love to send some of my stuff. What is the best way of doing it? Would you prefer a link to a stream? Would you prefer a hard copy? That tells that music supervisor that, one, you've done your homework, but you researched them. You're just not, hey, play my music. And two, that you know how the business works, that their time is valuable. You're trying to make it their job as easy as possible. And so doing it that way.
Louis Vasseur, thank you very much. It was very, very informative.
This is a subject that you can go on for days, and there are books written about it, but thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you for all that you do for indie artists. That's a service that is truly invaluable.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
See you. So that was a slide of some of the future shows that we're going to have in the next couple month or so, I guess. Since we are in a music show this time, music business show, this is a book that I recently got, and it's called The Songwriter's Survival Guide by Judy Sankey. And one thing I like about this book, a lot of times books like this can be a little dry, even if you love songwriting. She has a good writing style. She tells a lot of stories about artists. She worked for Warner Chappell for 30 years as a working with developing artists and songwriters. And the other thing I like, it's like 103 pages long, so it's not real long. I like that. She has a lot of quotes, and I wanted to mention one of the quotes because it kind of goes into the next question I have for you. And it's by a guy named Zig Ziglar, who's a sales trainer from South Carolina. And he said, people often say that motivation doesn't last. Well, neither does bathing. That's why we recommend it daily. And I wanted to ask you about motivation. Now, with a song, let's say that you find a publisher that's interested, And then if you're that in and of itself is quite something. And then maybe if you're lucky enough, you'll find an artist that wants to put the song on hold, and then maybe they'll record it, and then maybe they'll actually put that song on the record.
A lot of maybes.
Yeah, a lot of maybes. So my question to you is, in terms of keeping your motivation up, how do you do that?
Well, my husband has sometimes called me crazy, saying I've never seen somebody knocked off and down so many times, and then you just crawl around and find a new way to get up and a new door to open. You know, one door closes, I just find another one. And part of that is I enjoy the challenge. Not that I wouldn't mind if someone said, yes, we're cutting it. Yes, it's on the album. Yes, the art. Yes, it's going to. I'd be happy with that. But I do kind of enjoy the constant struggle, as it were. And I'm a creative, and I need to be around creative people or my soul shrivels up. So that's why I said it's an addiction. I mean, I have tons of friends there who I write with. We get together all the time. The studio, I've been to several studios there. I have my favorites. I'll put out a plug for Chip Martin. You can find his studio. You can reach him at Chip Song. Oh, wait a minute. I'm not sure of his email address in my head. So just Chip Martin Studio. He's really great. We've worked together for a very long time. And there are others I've used as well. I spread the love. But I just can't stop. And I have a goal. I do have an end game, and I feel a little bit of a biological clock ticking because, let's face it, I'm not 18. So I'm driven. It's sort of my personality in general, in addition to being creative. So.
Now, we're going to listen to another one of your songs. Now, both of the songs that you did today have been co-written.
Yes,
So I want you to
that's
just talk a little bit about co-writing, how you find that process. And to me, when I think about it, I get like totally frightened.
Oh,
But
I can understand. I can understand. So I started out writing on my own, and I can write lyrics and music, so therefore I can write a whole song, or I can write parts and then involve other people. So in Nashville, co-writing is very big. If you're a member of different organizations, either ASCAP, your performance organization, ASCAP, BMI, CSAC, or if you're a member of NSAI, you can book a room there for free, and you co-write. And it's usually a 3-hour session. You don't have to pay for it. You don't have to invite a stranger into your home or go into a stranger's home. And, most people are nice there, but let's face it, as a female, I appreciate that.
Sure.
And I don't have to clean up the kitchen. So as I said, it's a very big part of the culture. And it's very much like a first date when you work with someone for the first time. I like to say when I go into a co-write for the first time, I like to say there are no judgments here. Let's just throw all ideas out. Let's not be intimidated, and let's not be afraid to share personal things, because sometimes a song can be personal. And a real bond is built often. Now sometimes it's a big flop. Once in a while. I've had a few that just it's like
work.
pulling teeth. But I'd say 98% of the time, it's enjoyable, which is the goal. And sometimes you write 30% of the song. Sometimes you write 98% of the song. Sometimes you write all the music. Sometimes you write none of the music. Sometimes you write some of the lyrics. Some you write more of the lyrics. But in Nashville, it's always an even split. And if there are 3 people in the room, it's even 3-way. So there's no like, oh, I wrote the bridge, I deserve 15% more than you do. There's none of that. And I understand there's some of that in New York and LA. But in Nashville, it's always even.
do you try to find somebody that's complementary to your skills?
I don't necessarily seek that out unless it's a certain kind of song. Like I wrote a song called Just Like the Stones, and it was going to be a male rock song, and it needed a little bit of a Stonesy kind of groove, and I can't do that. So I did seek out 2 guys. I didn't care if it was one of them or both of them. Both of them happened to come in, and they were Stones fans, so it was perfect.
Oh.
And so occasionally I'll do that. More often what I seek out is when the song is done, will be like if the co-writer isn't a vocalist, we'll seek out, I think we should have this kind of a voice for this kind of a song, or maybe do it two ways and have that kind of a voice and this kind of a voice. I'll do that seeking. But otherwise, I can just fall right into you're a co-writer? Let's write. I have to tell you that the song that I won the Pensacola Beach Songwriters Festival Song Contest, that's a lot of words, with, was a song I wrote with a gentleman, a young gentleman I met just looking at houses. On Sundays when I have nothing to do, I like to go to open houses. I get decorating ideas. And I went to this house. It was beautiful, and I'm looking around, having fun. And we're chatting. Everyone's chatting. And then finally everyone leaves, and it's just him and me. He picks up a guitar, and he plays a song, and he hands it to me. And I said, I don't feel right playing the guitar that belongs to the people in this house. He said, it's not theirs, it's mine. I bring it for when I'm bored. So he hands it to me, I play a song. I hand it to him, he plays a song. Okay, so we go back and forth a bunch of times, and I said, would you like to write? And he says, sure. So I call him up a couple days later, said, I booked this room. We go, we start this song. Then he kind of became unavailable, I don't know, sort of, busy. And I wanted to finish the song, so I finished it, and I had it demoed, and I submitted it, and it won. and usually I have it critiqued, and I rewrite it, and I just felt that what we had done had to stay the way it was, and clearly people agreed.
Okay. Now you have you're going to do another. You've already done another song we're going to listen to now. Is that song?
No, it's not that song.
Talk about this song coming up.
This song. Okay, so that song is called "Paint," and the one that won the contest. And if you go to my website, www.bonniewarrenmusic.com, or my SoundCloud, which would be www.soundcloud.com/BonnieWarren, you should be able to hear it. And it's sung by an incredibly talented guy named Clayton Jones, and it's done in a pop style. He and this other fellow named Tyler Ross do more pop production.
Right.
So, and that does exist there. People think it's only country, but it's for everything. So the song that I performed is called "You Get This Man," and I would like to say that because I am a writer who performs instead of a performer who writes, sometimes I write something I'm incapable of singing. The range is too broad, or the style is just what I can't make my vocal cords do. So that sometimes plays into when I'm selecting a song to perform. As much as I'd like to perform song A, I really don't, I can't do it justice. But this song is it's intended to be a country song. You Get This Man. I wrote it with my friend Jane Sachs. And we actually met online in a song pitch, an online song pitch.
Okay.
For the first time we met online. And that song pitch, I'm going to put a plug in also for an organization called Global Songwriters Connection. You can Google that. Membership is $50 a year. And there are all sorts of events. It's all a la carte in this organization. It's run by a wonderfully talented and sweet, energetic woman by the name of Cherie Spoltori. And everything is a la carte. There are pitches. You do have to pay for people's time in today's market.
Sure.
So, but they're not expensive. So you can submit a song for a pitch, or she'll have an event or whatever, or you can listen in for less money to the pitches. But anyway, so Jane and I had both submitted to a pitch, and we liked each other's material because you can type in. It's like a webinar thing when they do it. And then we met in person at a party. And I said, let's write. And we've become really good friends. She lives in Ohio, comes to Nashville on occasion. I'm there more frequently. She tries to get there as often as she can because she has younger kids.
Okay. And what's the name of the song then?
This song is called You Get This Man.
Okay. You Get This Man by Bonnie Warren, and we'll be back.
This song is called You Get This Man. I wrote it with my friend Jane Sachs, also in Nashville. An interesting little tidbit about Jane and I, we had both submitted songs, unfortunately not this song because we were writing it at the time, but we both submitted songs to two contests, and I won one and she won the other. I won the Pensacola Beach Songwriters Festival Song Contest, and she won the Frank Brown Songwriters Festival Song Contest. So we are looking forward to being a winning team. You Get This Man. It's and this is a love song. I like to balance out my sets. The last song was a Hey, Goodbye, I'm Leaving You song. This one is a love song. And it's also a male song. And one of the things I do enjoy about being a songwriter especially is that you get to be a different character in every song, basically, if you want to. So You Get This Man. I might shut down and not talk enough. Leave dishes out, mess your kitchen up. I know you know I try to dance. Can't do much but make you laugh. But I love how you love me knowing I am what I am. You get this man. Thank God you see the good in me, 'cause each day I'm amazed that he put you right into my hands. You'll always be the breath I breathe. The reason why my heart beats is to adore you till the end. That's what you get when you get this man. When your tears need a chest to fall down on, strong arms to hold you all night long. You know I'd drop anything to lift you up. I'm on your team. You can trust that you trust me knowing I'll always give a damn. You get this man. Thank God you see the good in me, 'cause each day I'm amazed that he put you right into my hands. You'll always be the breath I breathe. The reason why my heart beats is to adore you till the end. That's what you get when you get this man. We can talk without speaking, finish thoughts without thinking. Girl, I get you every time. And I'm so glad you get this man. Thank God you see the good in me, 'cause each day I'm amazed that he put you right into my hands. You'll always be the breath I breathe. The reason why my heart beats is to adore you till the end. That's what you get when you get this man. Oh, that's what you get when you get this man.
Okay, you were going to say one more thing about the
Yes.
this song.
From a songwriting craft perspective, oftentimes the songs that make it to the radio are fairly simple, although oftentimes there's a lyrical twist. And I just want to encourage people to pay attention to that song, You Get This Man. We use that phrase in different ways in the song. So you'll see that it's used as in, you understand this man. It's also used in, I got you, you got me, babe, kind of context. So we flip it and flop it and change the context so that it remains interesting.
Okay. Yeah. Bonnie Warren, thank you very much.
Thank you, Ray Naylor. It was a pleasure.
And what's your website again?
BonnieWarrenMusic.com and SoundCloud/Bonnie Warren.
And
And I'm always up for a new project. So if anyone is interested in working with me, please email me at bonniewarrenmusic@gmail.com.
I also wanted to thank Louis Vasseur for also being a guest on this show. And we'll be back in a week or two with Billy Penn Berger. Hope to see you then.